My name is Liana Mercer. I'm 28 years old, and I write code for a living. Clean logic, no ambiguity, no guessing. If only people were that simple. Friday night lay over the city like a tinted filter, streets glazed in neon, music leaking from doorways, heat rising from the concrete. Cameron wanted to go out downtown, the kind of place where the lights stay low to make everyone look better, and the speakers are loud enough to drown out doubt. I said yes, because lately I say yes to things I hope will fix us. Because I keep thinking the right night, the right bar stool, the right song might reset the story. Inside, the bass felt like a second pulse. I sat in jeans and a black blouse, hair tied back, the version of myself that feels invisible from far away, but controlled up close. Cameron wore a shirt that hugged his shoulders just enough to invite glances, and he knew it. He smiled the way he smiles when he wants to be seen. At first, we went through our ritual. 2 drinks, light talk, bugs I squashed at work, a series we half watch in separate corners of the couch. The small topics relationships live on when they're starving. It could have been fine. It could have been another night we survived. Then Leah slid into focus. She was the bartender with a sleeve of ink like a river map, and the kind of laugh that makes a room swing its head. Cameron's attention moved to her as if on rails. Every time she came by, he stood a little taller, voice warmer, jokes faster, like he remembered a version of himself he liked more than the one seated beside me. He wasn't subtle. The compliments got brighter. His eyes stayed when hers left. I felt the familiar pinch below my ribs, the one I've trained myself to file under, don't start a fight here. When Leah returned, Cameron asked for her number, not in whispers, not with the decency of a corner. He asked the way you ask for the check. I set my glass down carefully, like it might bite. "What are you doing?" I asked, aiming for steady and landing just shy of it. Cameron's eyebrow ticked. He didn't look at me. He looked at Leah. "Relax," he said. And then, without lowering his voice, "You're not my wife or my owner." The words dropped like a tray of glasses. Leah blinked, uncomfortable for a beat, then smoothed it away with a practiced smile and moved to the next customer. Around us, the bar went on, not noticing, not caring, just sound and color over my stung silence. I nodded, the same nod I give a piece of code when I find the bug and know what I have to do next. "Enjoy your night," I said. Cameron looked surprised, as if the line in the sand belonged to him, not me. But he didn't stop me. Of course he didn't. The air outside hit with the shock of a cold shower. I walked fast, letting the city's noise wash the scene off my skin. On the ride home, my hands didn't shake. Clarity has always been my anesthetic. Plan, execute, document. Our apartment was a north-facing box with good morning light and fragile peace. I unlocked the door, stood a moment in the dim, and cataloged. The leather sofa I bought with my first bonus. The 55-inch TV I justified during a Black Friday sale. The coffee maker that made me feel like mornings were salvageable. His? A thrifted table and chairs that wobbled, a bed he insisted was minimalist, but was just old. I dialed Maya. She answered on the first ring. No hello, just what happened? I told her about the number, the line, the way my name felt like nothing in his mouth. There was a beat of silence that said she was swallowing her first 10 responses to choose the right one. "Do you want me to come with the truck or with wine?" she asked finally. "Both," I said, and heard her grab her keys. Maya arrived in 40 minutes with a pickup her cousin swears is street legal and a grin that promised righteous mischief. We moved like a deployment. She took the TV while I patted every corner with towels. I boxed the streaming device, our backup drives, the game console Cameron used more than he used the truth. We slid the leather sofa toward the hall. The sound of it lifting off the rug felt like a muscle unclenching. "Take the coffee maker," Maya said, unplugging it with the care of a nurse. No one should be miserable before 9 a.m. In between trips, I opened my laptop and started a different kind of packing. Evidence. Screenshots of rent transfers with my notes. Covered again. He said he'll catch up. Messages where he wrote, "Short this month. Next month, I swear." Utility bills with my card on file. The shared streaming accounts, Netflix, HBO, passwords changed in 3 clicks. I emailed copies of every receipt to myself and to a burner I only use when I need things safe from storms. "You good?" Maya asked, standing in the doorway with a box of my programming books. Her eyes scanned my face the way she scans rooms for exits. "I'm done," I said. And for a second, I believed it. By 2 a.m., the living room looked hollow. What remained belonged to him. The wobble-leg table, the light that hummed, the bed that creaked, with every sentence we didn't say. I took a scrap of notepad paper from the kitchen drawer, flour-dusted, torn at the corner, and wrote in block letters, "You don't own my salary. I didn't sign it. I didn't have to." Before we left, I made 2 final calls, power and water, transferring the accounts into Cameron's name. The hold music chirped as if it were morning already. I gave the dates, the meter numbers, the confirmations, and saved each reference code in a note on my phone. It felt bureaucratic and holy at once. Maya leaned her hip against the counter. "You could smash things," she said lightly, testing me. "It's very cinematic." "I don't want destruction," I said. "I want accuracy." She nodded, satisfied. "You're terrifying when you're calm." We loaded the last box into the truck bed. The street outside was quiet in that middle-of-the-night way that makes you feel like you own time. A stray dog trotted past, indifferent to our private war. I locked the door behind me and slid the key under the mat. The apartment was still. For a heartbeat, I pictured Cameron stumbling in later, buoyed by someone else's attention, greeting the echo we left him. Back at Maya's place, she handed me a beer and a spare blanket. "You did the right thing," she said. "Not dramatic, surgical." "I don't want to be the hero," I said, dropping onto her couch. "I just don't want to be the mark." Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. "Do you want to see what he posts?" she asked, thumb hovering. I looked at the ceiling, tracing the hairline crack that ran from the light fixture to the corner. "He'll play the victim," I said. "Not bitter, just sure. He's always known how to find the softest audience." Maya lowered the phone. "Then we play smarter," she said, not louder. I opened my email, checked the folder where I'd filed the rent receipts and utilities. I scrolled the messages from months past, Cameron's apologies that weren't apologies, his promises shaped like IOUs, his casual entitlement dressed as charm. The sum of it started to take form, a number heavy enough to bend the night, $22,000. Rent I covered, bills I carried, debts I paid to keep collectors from our door. I exhaled slow. "I'm not going to war on his stage," I told Maya. "If he turns the lights on me, I'll bring the ledger." She smiled, a small, feral thing. "Then let him talk." When sleep finally came, it wasn't kind. My mind replayed the bar in loops. Leah's programmed smile, Cameron's dismissive tone, the word owner snapping like a mousetrap. But under the noise, there was a steadier sound, the hum of a system taking shape. Dates, documents, a plan with corners sharp enough to hold. Just before I drifted under, I pictured mornings in a place that was only mine. A plant on a windowsill I wouldn't kill. Coffee that tasted like beginning. Silence that answered to me. And a version of myself that recognized the line sooner next time and didn't step over it out of hope. The city's dawn would come gray and indifferent. Cameron's phone would light up eventually, and he'd open the door to an apartment that echoed. He'd see the note. He'd feel, maybe for the first time, the cost of his own ease. And I would be somewhere else, already counting, already ready. Because logic is a language, and tonight I chose to speak it. Because love without respect is just a draft you never ship. Because he said I wasn't his wife or his owner, and I finally remembered I am not his bank. The morning sunlight at Maya's apartment felt like a witness. Too honest, too bright. I sat at her kitchen table, wrapped in one of her oversized hoodies, scrolling through messages I hadn't opened yet. Cameron's name stacked in my notifications like a bad headline repeating itself. "Where are you?" "What the hell, Liana?" "You can't just take everything." And then, of course, the masterpiece. "You're acting crazy." Maya leaned against the counter, sipping her coffee, watching my face. "He's starting the denial phase," she said. "Classic. Next comes public sympathy." Right on cue, her phone buzzed. She turned it around for me to see. Cameron's Instagram story. A photo of the empty apartment captioned, "When love walks out without warning." I laughed, but it came out hollow. He didn't even buy that couch he's posing without. "Don't worry," Maya said. "We'll handle this like adults, with receipts." I opened my laptop and pulled up the folder I'd named Financial Fairness. Inside, rent transfers, utility bills, screenshots of our messages. It wasn't just numbers. It was 4 years of quiet enabling turned into evidence. The total stared back at me. 22,000. Maya whistled. "That's a semester of grad school." Or, I said, the cost of learning who I was dating. That afternoon, messages from friends started pouring in. Some worried, some judgmental. Cameron says you left him with nothing. Did you really take the TV? Girl, what happened? I didn't respond, didn't have the energy to curate a narrative. But Maya did. She opened the group chat we shared with mutual friends and typed with the precision of a lawyer. Quick clarification. Liana covered 70% of rent for 2 years. Utilities in her name. Cameron owed over $20K. She left what was his. Here are the receipts. She attached screenshots, rent statements, transfer confirmations, and one particular message from Cameron. Babe, I'm short again this month. I'll make it up when the bonus hits. Reactions filled the thread. Wait, what? I thought he made more than you. Typical Cameron. Maya leaned back satisfied. If he wants a PR war, he should have hired a better manager. I smiled weakly. I don't want war. I want distance. But distance wasn't what Cameron had in mind. That evening, he uploaded another post. A mirror selfie, somber expression, captioned, "Some people only care about money." The comments flooded in. Stay strong, Cam. She never deserved you. You're better off without her. I stared at the screen, heat crawling up my neck. Maya slid the phone away. Let them talk. Truth is quieter, but it lasts longer. Over the next few days, things escalated. Screenshots of our breakup note surfaced in an online gossip thread, probably shared by someone from our circle. Strangers debated whether I was a gold digger or a genius. It would have been funny if it weren't my name attached. Then, one message stopped me cold. It was from Vanessa, Cameron's ex. Hey, I know we don't know each other, but he pulled similar stuff with me. If you ever need proof, I've got it. I read it twice. Proof? My stomach twisted. He did this before, I whispered. Maya frowned. Serial borrower. Uses charm like a credit card. I typed back a simple thank you and asked her to send whatever she had. Within an hour, screenshots arrived. Texts of Cameron promising to pay Vanessa back for temporary loans. He never did. The timestamps were years apart, the pattern identical. Something in me settled, not anger, clarity. That night, I wrote a note on my phone titled, The Ledger. I listed every payment I'd made, rent, internet, groceries, credit card bailouts. Not because I needed the money back, but because truth likes to be written down. By midweek, I'd found a small one-bedroom apartment near my office, nothing fancy, white walls, creaky floors, a kitchen that smelled faintly of old paint, but it was mine. Maya helped me move in, carrying the same boxes we'd loaded days ago. She placed my coffee maker on the counter and declared, "It looks happier already." We unpacked in silence, punctuated by the hum of possibility. Later that night, I stood by the window with a mug of coffee, staring at the city lights. My phone buzzed again, unknown number. Liana, it's me. Please don't block this one. I need to talk. I ignored it. Another text came. It's important, please. I'm in trouble. Maya glanced up from the couch. Let me guess. He suddenly found humility? I showed her the screen. She squinted. Don't go alone. Whatever this is, it smells like manipulation. I nodded, but a small part of me, the one that still believed in fairness, wondered if he was actually in trouble. Maybe he just wants closure, I said. Maya snorted. Cameron doesn't do closure. He does drama. Still, the next day, I texted back. If you need to talk, meet me in public. Coffee shop on 5th, 5 p.m. If he wanted a performance, he'd have an audience this time. That night, I printed everything. Rent receipts, utilities, messages, and the promissory note drafted by Maya's lawyer friend. It wasn't about revenge. It was about accountability. As I slipped the folder into my bag, I caught my reflection in the window. Tired eyes, calm jaw. I looked more like a witness than a victim. Maya stood at the doorway, keys in hand. You sure you want to do this? Yes, I said. It's time to close the file. The city outside pulsed with traffic and faint music. Somewhere out there, Cameron was rehearsing his next line. I zipped my bag and whispered to myself, let's see if he signs the truth this time. The coffee shop smelled like burnt espresso and cinnamon, the kind of mix that makes you forget if you came for caffeine or closure. I arrived 5 minutes early, sat near the window, and waited. The folder with all my evidence sat beside my cup like a quiet attorney. At exactly 5 o'clock, Cameron walked in. He wasn't the version I remembered from the bar. No pressed shirt, no cologne. His hair looked unwashed, his eyes rimmed in exhaustion. He spotted me and hesitated, like approaching the truth might sting. Then he came over, sat down, and gave a small, practiced smile. Liana, he started, you look good. I didn't answer. I just nodded toward his coffee. Order something if you want. I'm not staying long. He blinked at my tone, but waved to the waiter. When his cup arrived, he wrapped his hands around it like he was cold. I'm in a mess, he said finally. The apartment's killing me. Bills, rent, everything's in my name now. I can't keep up. I took a slow sip, watching him over the rim of my mug. You mean the rent you never paid? The utilities I carried for 2 years? The ones I transferred to you because you said you could handle it? He winced. I didn't mean for it to be like this. I thought I could manage after you left. But it's worse than I thought. My credit's tanking. I tried to ask my family for help, but they think I brought it on myself. I leaned forward slightly. Did you tell them you used me as your personal bank account? His jaw tightened. That's not fair. No, I said, my voice calm. It's accurate. He looked down. I just need time. Maybe we can work something out. You always had a good heart. That made me laugh, a sharp, small sound that surprised even me. You don't get to compliment the heart you drained. He stared at me for a long moment, then said softly, You're really not coming back, are you? I slid the promissory note across the table. The paper made a sound that seemed louder than the entire cafe. No, I said, but you're going to sign this. He picked it up, brow furrowed. What is this? An itemized list of everything you owe me. Rent, utilities, debts, all backed by proof. $22,000 total. You'll pay $50 a month. I'm not suing you, Cameron. I just want acknowledgement, a record that I mattered enough to reimburse. His mouth opened, then closed. You're serious. I nodded. Dead serious. He stared at the numbers, tracing them with his finger like they were foreign symbols. I don't have it, he said eventually. I know, I said. That's why there's a payment plan. Silence stretched. Then, with a tremor of shame, or maybe surrender, he picked up the pen and signed. His name bled into the paper. When he was done, I slid a second document across. A receipt from the jewelry store, proof I'd sold our engagement ring for $72. He blinked. You sold it? I did, I said. Used it for a solo trip to Japan. Saw Tokyo, ate ramen, climbed temple steps. Turns out I'm better company than you ever were. His face went pale. He tried to smile, but it cracked. You really moved on that fast? It wasn't fast, I said. It was overdue. I stood, gathering the folder, the note, the proof that I had rewritten the story. Good luck, Cameron. I hope you learn to pay your own bills someday. He didn't stop me this time, didn't call my name, just sat there, staring at the cooling coffee like it might explain where he went wrong. A few weeks later, an envelope arrived at my new apartment. Inside was a crisp $50 bill and a handwritten note. First payment. I'll keep my word. I placed both in a small box on my bookshelf, next to a candle, a plant, and my favorite programming manual. I labeled it Closure Fund. Not because I needed the money, but because every month it would remind me. I set the boundary, and it held. Life quieted after that. The noise of our shared past faded into background static. My apartment began to feel lived in. Coffee stains on coasters, a soft throw blanket on the sofa, sunlight spilling across my desk. Maya visited often, dropping off takeout and updates. He's barely posting anymore, she said one night, smirking. Guess being the victim stopped trending. I smiled. He finally met accountability. A few months later, I started seeing Andrew, a colleague from work, steady, kind, and stubborn, about splitting the bill every time we went out. It wasn't love yet, but it was peace, and that was enough. Sometimes, on quiet mornings, I'd brew coffee and open the window, breathing in the city's hum. I'd think about the woman who once ignored every red flag because she thought love meant patience. That version of me is gone. Now, I understand something Cameron never did. Love without respect is just debt collecting in silence. And freedom, real freedom, is waking up in a space you built yourself, with no apologies owed and no explanations left to give. My name is Liana Mercer, and this time, everything in my life is paid for, by me and on my own terms.